What's happening, Internet fam? So, sorry for not being in my fancy YouTube studio, but I just wanted to get out a quick video. I've been reading articles about the Cybertruck. Obviously, the reveal last week, it almost seems like months ago now already. There's been so much media hype about the Cybertruck, and for good reason. It's a complete and total game-changer disruption of the current truck market. It absolutely is. If you don't think so, you don't understand the math, because that $39K price point is an absolute game-changer. First of all, that's already price competitive with most of the trucks on the market. If you go buy a brand new Toyota Tacoma with any kind of options, you're going to get real near that $39K price real quickly. And that's for the Toyota, which, Toyota is a little bit more reliable and cheaper on fuel than some of the competitors like Ford and GM and Chevy, etc. So, and then when you zoom out a little bit more and think about the Cybertruck as far as not paying for gas, electricity is a lot cheaper than gas. And then when you zoom out a little bit more and think about not paying for maintenance because you don't have to do oil changes or get a new serpentine belt or get a new transmission. I mean, the cost savings of the Cybertruck are immense. And that's just with the current price of $39K, which if they ramp up production and start mass producing it in any kind of real terms, the price is going to go down. It's going to be cheaper than $39K. And that's not even the main economic savings that people don't understand, because remember, the Cybertruck is probably going to have fully autonomous driving. And fully autonomous driving is going to drive the price down even more. Because with fully autonomous driving, your truck could go be doing Uber or Lyft without you in it, so you're actually making money. Your truck's making you money while you're sitting at home watching movies or playing video games. And then even more cost savings, because fully autonomous driving is going to radically drop the price of your insurance. We have to assume that fully autonomous driving is going to have a near perfect safety record, or nobody's going to accept it. And of course, it's going to steadily improve with time. So that safety record that's going to be near perfect is going to be ever more approaching perfect. So that's going to drive insurance costs down through the floor. It's going to get to the point, I think, where at some point having a fully autonomous car that's always in fully autonomous mode is going to get you some kind of insurance incentives where you're almost paying no insurance, and to the point where if you are driving manually at any point, you're going to have to pay a huge premium to have the right to do so with insurance specifically, which bothers me on some levels, ethically, whatever. As a libertarian, that definitely bothers me, but it's just the reality of the market and the reality of the crazy way that insurance is mandatory right now. I don't think insurance should be mandatory at all, but in most states and most countries, insurance is mandatory right now, which, again, totally immoral, totally illegal, totally unconstitutional, but that is the way it is right now. And so the economics of that are going to play a huge factor when you start talking about fully autonomous vehicles and the price of insurance for a fully autonomous vehicle and the price of insurance for a vehicle that has no autonomy, or one that you can put into manual mode or do put into manual mode. I think that we're going to see a huge cost reduction again. So, I mean, imagine if your fully autonomous Cybertruck that you're always driving in fully autonomous mode. In fact, you never even touch the steering wheel. Maybe that little dorky steering wheel is a good idea in the Cybertruck because you're never using it. That's certainly a possibility. That seems to be where we're headed. They were talking about having a fully autonomous Tesla this year. I don't know if they're still on track for that, but even if they're not on track and it takes another year or even another 2 years, the Cybertruck is not going to be starting deliveries until 2022 or something, right? So certainly not in any kind of volume until 2022, 2023, which time is going very quickly. So I'm sure that's going to feel like, a few weeks from now, honestly. But thinking about the aspect of price when it comes to insurance is just another area where having a fully autonomous vehicle is going to just absolutely dominate any kind of vehicle that isn't autonomous on insurance. So just another thought I had about the Cybertruck that I hadn't seen anybody mention or talk about, and A lot of people are talking about the fact that the squarish look is part of what makes the truck so cheap for manufacturing. When I mentioned that in my video, I think I was the first person to mention it online. I didn't see anybody do it before, but it's pretty obvious if you zoom out and think about it. So now, of course, everybody's talking about it because obviously the price is the thing that's going to make this truck so revolutionary. Anyway, just another quick thought I had about the Cybertruck, the fully autonomous driving aspect of it, driving down the cost again. So again, no gas, no maintenance, no oil, cheaper insurance. If you have the solar cover, you're driving for free for 15 miles a day, which a lot of people only drive 15, 30 miles a day. So you're talking about lowering the cost of driving by an order of magnitude compared to buying gas, which gas is so expensive, and it's only going to get more expensive, especially as governments continue to tax gases. And also consider, too, gas has to be transported. So the gas that you're paying for the transport of that gas to the gas station. So the truck that's delivering the gas is using gas to deliver the gas. So, there's like this feedback loop of cost when it comes to gas that you're eliminating all of that by moving to electric. And I think we're going to see radical disruption in the truck market. Obviously, more exciting is the Tesla Semi, which I haven't heard anything about recently. I haven't seen one on the road. The Cybertruck is, something that people can buy, so it's for the consumer market, so it got a lot of hype, a lot of attention. People are getting really excited about that. But I don't really think that's nearly as exciting as the Tesla Semi when you talk about lowering the cost of delivering all goods and services with the Tesla Semi. If they can get it to be price competitive with rail, which they were talking about, that's going to hugely disrupt the entire transportation market and lower the price of all goods and services. Suddenly, that cheap $5 item that you're buying from China could be $1 because now transportation is, almost free at that point when you start talking about a 1,000,000-mile Tesla autonomous semi that doesn't have a driver, that doesn't need gasoline. Maybe imagine a Tesla Semi with solar panels, self-charging. You could have a fleet of Tesla Semis that are just, that all have solar panels on the top of that huge container that the Semi pulls behind it, what do you call it, trailer, whatever. Imagine that. That's a lot of room for solar panels up there, and you could have a fleet of autonomous Tesla semis, all self-charging when they're not on the road. Even when they are on the road, they're still charging as well. So, you're talking about huge disruption is possible, especially if we start doing some material science advances. Right now, we're still using lithium-ion batteries. Imagine switching to graphene ultracapacitors. Suddenly, you don't need rare earths, you don't need any kind of mining at all. It's just carbon. Graphene is a huge disruptor for this whole market segment. If you have graphene-based ultracapacitors made out of carbon that can charge instantly, can hold way more power than lithium-ion batteries, are much lighter, and the materials to build them are basically almost free. Carbon you can just pull out of the atmosphere for free if you wanted to. So, you can just pull carbon dioxide right out of the air and take that carbon and turn it into graphene ultracapacitors, and also carbon-based solar cells too. There's carbon nanotube solar cells have the potential to store all forms of light, not just all forms of solar radiation. So they're pulling infrared, visible light, every single spectrum of light from the sun, getting that much more power into the solar panel. And some of the super dense nanotube based, which is just carbon again. So again, the price of these is going to be way cheaper than silicon or what is the gallium arsenide? I can't remember. I'm not a chemist. I'm really bad at remembering chemicals and compounds and all that kind of stuff. And But I mean, we're talking about radically driving down the price of solar panels, and also radically driving the efficiency of those solar panels. Suddenly they're able to collect 90% of light instead of 18% or 20% or whatever the norm is right now. And taking all of that power and then storing it in graphene ultracapacitors. All of this is just carbon, which carbon is everywhere. It's super abundant, super cheap. So when you talk about potential advances in material science that we might have in the next 3, 4, 5 years, and then marrying that to the Tesla Semi, the Tesla Cybertruck, you're talking about radical lowering in price, radical upping in range. A Tesla Cybertruck with graphene ultracapacitors could easily drive 1,000 miles per charge. And then if you've got the nanotube-based solar panels on the hood, on the roof, on the that cover over the bed, in the bed too, because I mean, why not just have the whole thing be, and it would look like a flat matte black, which is a very popular look right now. And just imagine that flat matte black is absorbing all of that solar radiation and turning it into electricity. You could get a lot more than 15 miles a day off of those solar panels. You could be getting 50 miles a day off of those solar panels. And then, again, storing it in those giant graphene ultracapacitors that could store 1,000 miles per charge. If we advance material science with the carbon-based ultracapacitors and carbon-based solar panels, that is going to bring orders of magnitude more efficiency to the Tesla product line. So game changer on price across the board already. Then factor in fully autonomous driving, which is coming very soon. That's not sci-fi at all. And honestly, these graphene technologies and these carbon-based technologies I'm talking about, these exist right now too. That's not science fiction either. We don't have everything ready to go as far as mass production. So there is some R&D development that needs to happen to make graphene ultracapacitors to really take that and bring it to market. Bringing it to market is a little bit sci-fi, but it exists now. It's not actually sci-fi, the concept or the idea or the actual materials. They exist now. So anyway, just some more thoughts on the Tesla Cybertruck and the Tesla Semi especially, which I'm much more excited about. Still haven't seen anything or heard anything about it since the reveal. So if you've got any information about the Tesla Semi, please let us know. Let's talk about it. All right, Internet fam, have a great day.